Well, here's something I never thought I would say in a million years, but Gary, Lance, welcome to my bedroom. So our Cracker Jack producer, Cheryl, is on the road today. She's taken the computer that we normally have in our office, and I'm relegated to our bedroom computer because everybody should have a computer in their bedroom, right? So things are a little bit different here for me today, but that's why things look a little different on my end. And fellas, good to see you, and welcome to What Do You Know About Sports? And wow, yesterday was April Fool's Day, but this was no April Fool's joke for the Blue Jays. In their fifth game of this season, they were no hit by the Houston Astros. Ronel Blanco shut them out 10-0. 7 strikeouts, a couple of walks, and Gary, is this a sign of things to come for the Blue Jays in 2024?
No, yeah, let's hope not. As I said, or Lance mentioned there before the show started, we can't jump off the bandwagon. There's 157 more chances, and one of those games that this kid Blanco, at 30-year-old, there's 8 start in the big league. So, who would have ever thought? But anyhow, I as far as their start, they open up in Tampa where they haven't had a lot of success in the past, and they split down there. I think the thing is with this ball club, they're not a heck of a lot different in terms of personnel, the kids they put out on the field, than what they were last year. The only real difference is this Kiner Falefa, the kid they got from the Yankees. He's playing third, and Chapman's gone, and Turner is a DH, kind of a utility guy that replaces Brandon Belt. Other than that, you look at that outfield, it's the same. The infield's the same, and the pitching is the same top 4. They started that Francis kid yesterday that they had some hope for, that he might grab that 5th spot, but he got whacked around pretty good. I still think that the kid that I mentioned a few shows ago, Tiedemann, I think that's the guy that got to get in that slot and get him up from Buffalo, and so it's basically the same ball club, probably a little less swing and miss in the club that they've got right now. I see them as probably an 85 to 90 win ball club that will fight for a wild card spot. I don't think they're by any means they're going to be a threat to go to the World Series. But like I said, it's early. The one guy that I focus on certainly is Guerrero, the $19 million man. He doesn't look a heck of a lot different at the plate than what he did last year. He's jumping around. He's moving. His head's moving. He's swinging at breaking balls that are well outside the zone. And the other thing that he did down in Tampa, I forget which game it was, but he walked 3 times with runners in scoring position. They're not paying him $19 million to take base on balls. It's one thing that he took a close pitch for a ball, and when you're Vladdy Guerrero, you've got to be a run producer, and you've got to maybe swing at that pitch that's a couple inches outside and drive it into right field, or you got to bring your hands in and rip one inside pitch, down into the left field corner. You've got to drive in runs. We can't expect that kid to go up there and keep the chain moving. Now that's not for him. And so I think he's going to be really key to this team doing anything. And like I said, what I've seen so far, and I didn't watch last night because I was watching the girls basketball, but what I saw in the 4 games down in Tampa, he doesn't look any different than he did last year. So I guess we'll just have to see.
Were they pitching around him, Gary?
No, I don't. They didn't pitch around him. But they got Bo behind him now, so
Yeah.
They're going to do that even less with Bichette hitting behind him. But you just got to be more aggressive. You got to be like his dad. You remember his dad? His dad would swing at everything. It didn't matter where it was; he was going to swing at it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we got to go to that extreme, but he's just got to be more aggressive.
Well, I don't think Shapiro and that management there did a whole lot in the offseason to make this team better. That's the bottom line. They think they're going to make them better from the inside out. Basically, they need Vladdy to get a lot better. Without a doubt, they thought they got the other players that were there that would get better. But why would they get better than what they had the last year going into the playoffs? They couldn't hit last year going into the playoffs. They haven't got anything different so far this year that shows you that they're going to hit. I just think that they're going to have a struggling year, or they're going to struggle this year. It's disappointing to watch. It really is, because it's I'm not sure if it's the coaching or the way they're managed as a team. But Vladdy, he's come in and he's trimmed down. He looked like he came in pretty seriously ready to play some ball, but he's still not hitting the ball, and he's not playing in the field that well either in some situations over the first games. I think the Blue Jays got to really. I mean, they can't just sit back and go, it's going to be a long season. I'm not jumping off the ship quite yet. There's a lot of games before the World Series comes up, but they really have to take a hard look at the team and make sure that they're starting to they have to make some moves early here. The guy they brought in there, I think, is a Turner. He's a pinch hitter. I mean, that's not going to be a big asset for them. I don't know why that move was made. So it's kind of frustrating for Blue Jay fans to see that they hadn't done really a whole lot to make this team better in the offseason.
I think you're right, Lance, and they spent so much time in the off season, time and effort to try and get Ohtani.
Exactly.
And so all their eggs were in one basket, and when they didn't get him, there wasn't much left. The guy that I would have liked to have seen them got instead of him was the guy the Yankees got, and it's Soto.
Yeah, so
there's a guy that they really could have used in that outfield, and great hitter. But as you say, they ended up, Turner really was the best acquisition, and pretty good hitter, but kind of not the big guy, that big name they were looking for.
Yeah. Soto, to me, strikes me as a guy who just needs to be in a huge market, though. He needs to be in a New York or an LA or something. He just seems like that type of guy. I don't know if he would have ever really been a fit in Toronto. Just my own personal opinion.
How would Ohtani fit in Toronto? He's a big market guy. It's the same thing, right? So
and that too. Although we had, the week after Ohtani fell through, I remember one of our topics was Ohtani not coming to the Jays, probably the best thing the Jays could have done, and that was sort of my point too, is that I don't think the Jays are going to miss not getting Ohtani, and now with all of these gambling issues too, I mean that's even played out even better. So I can't remember. We've talked about Schneider as a manager, but are you guys fans or not?
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I think it's from the management down right to Snyder. That I think and Gary said it too. Like with the chase for Ohtani, they put so much time and effort into that. They should have been looking for something else. The Ohtani would not have been the answer to the Jays this year. Because there's still everywhere around them's not hitting the ball. They got a team that doesn't hit. Either it's the hitting coach or something. But there's something wrong there, because that stretch last year into the playoffs, They couldn't hit the ball, and now they're off to a start the same way. I mean, you have to look. They have to really get serious about what they're doing with that team right now, with how they're playing, either their lineup or something. I don't know, but and then I watch Snyder sometimes, and he makes some moves that are good sometimes, but there's times I don't know if he's getting told by them what to do, if it's this analytics thing or something. But he sure makes some funny moves at times in many games, I think.
Yeah, I think with the manager, it's. I think I mentioned this earlier too in our podcast, that I think he's going to be on a reasonably short leash, and they've got to come out of the gate. The first 25, 30 games, they've got to be well over 500 and look competitive, and if not, and it's not always fair. The manager. you can't get rid of the 25 or the 27 players on your roster. They get rid of the manager. But whether it's fair or not, it's probably what's going to happen if they don't start well.
Well, they're gonna be a little bit in the hunt for something, and I think they're going to be making some changes early at that club if they don't see some real improvement in a lot of areas. Like even the shortstop Bichette made some errors again. He's prone to do that, but I still think he's a hell of a ball player. I wouldn't want to lose Bichette. I know that.
Lance, I was going to ask you, being a former referee, I don't know if you've really noticed, but umpires are already under real heavy scrutiny for making some bad ball strike calls in the first 5-6 days here. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I know that it's my thoughts are that right now they've got the reviews they can have and stuff like that, and I really believe that at some point they're going to go to that too with balls and strikes. They're going to go to review, and I think that'll be bad for the game. I mean, we're always going to have bad calls. I mean, in refereeing too, the other day watching the Oilers, or last night's Oilers game, had 2 goaltender interference calls, or one wasn't called, and one was called. That it's with all the reviews they do today, it's getting to be interesting to see that the game's being looked at by computer now just about. So I think that I think they're going to go to that sometime with the umpires, balls and strikes, and some kind of a review or a challenge or something for balls and strikes. But I know as an umpire, and you play ball, it's tough back there on that plate. That ball's coming pretty fast, And there are times that umpires, they got different strike zones that they each have themselves, that they have personally, that have the players work around and stuff. But we'll see as the season goes along how much it gets better or stronger, because with the computerized strike zone right now, it's going to be close to. They were talking about using that sometime.
Yeah, I like the human element. We've had it since baseball began. I think what they have to do, instead of going that direction, Lance, I think they've got to take that rectangle off of the TV screen, get it the heck out of there, and let's go with the umpires. Let's try and make them better. Let's get consistent strike zones. Let's not have each umpire have their own strike zone. That 17-inch plate is there for a reason. Let's use it. And these guys are, it's hard. I'm sure it's a difficult position, but these are the best we've got. These are professionals. I hope we don't get rid of them, and I hope we don't we've got enough reviews. I don't want to see reviews on balls and strikes.
Yeah.
But knowing the umpires, like I've met quite a few umpires in my day, in traveling, and I don't know how it is today, but back when I was there, the umpires did have a bit of a pompous attitude in some ways. Like they really believed they were untouchable. And at one point they were untouchable until they did that stupid move and they all told them they're going to quit, which that really opened the door for them to say, fine, see you later, we'll find some more. They found out they weren't that important. But I mean, the guys that I ran into a lot of times, there was some really good, really quality guys and really nice, nice individuals and stuff, but they really had a strong union and they really had a strong idea of what was, that they were basically, what the league couldn't really do much about what they were doing. Other than that, they had their way of calling the game, and there's some umpires still there that they that really have an attitude out there and of a challenging, and they'll challenge the players, they'll challenge the coaches and stuff like that. And it's changing a little bit. There's a new guard coming in, a little different attitude, but they have a real strong. Union-wise, they had a really strong union and leadership there. But I'll never forget the day that they were going to bring in fitness training for the umpires, and the umpires are all like, "No, there's not a chance we're going to do that." And the guy who was looking after the union at the time was an ex-ball player, I believe, and he said that if they could waddle to home plate, they were going to be working. There was a time when they were pretty strong as in what their opinions were, what they're going to do with the game and stuff like that. and it's weakening a little bit. But the only thing that they've been able to keep is that strike zone. And if they lose that strike zone, I don't know what'll happen from there. It'll be, like the umpire behind the plate. Will he just, is he going to make the calls, or what happens? Is it going to come from somebody in a booth? How's it going to work? I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right about attitude. It's the only sport that I know where the umpires they'll get confrontational with the players. In fact, sometimes they'll start it. It's crazy, and you don't see that in any other sport.
Yeah.
Generally, the officials will walk away, but no, they get in your face, and you see some of the arguments that we see, and they go at it. But and so I think you're right. They do have an attitude, and I'm not sure. When they do have a poor game, I don't know what the process is. Do they ever get disciplined? We never hear about it. Maybe they do, but so I don't know what they do to try and get better.
Yeah.
Speaking about that's like where we're going to segue into the World Series game that I was at with the segue. You get that, Randy?
Yeah, I get it.
The word segue.
Isn't that a grocery store?
Oh, that's Safeway.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
This is Segway. Anyways, we're going to talk about that World Series game that I was at in 1997. Well, the biggest thing about that, the supervisor of the officials was the one that got me the tickets for that game. And that's an interesting thing, because I knew him pretty well a long time ago. I can't remember his name now, but he was a good. So they did have supervisors there that go to the games and watch them and work with them, and then go down and talk to them. I know that.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about that today. Gary's already talked about his favorite sports memory. I've already talked about mine on the show. But Lancey, I was a bit surprised. Being obviously a hockey guy, I would have figured your memory would be a hockey memory. But no, it was a 1997 World Series game you were at.
Yeah, I was in Miami for the it was October 26th, 1997. I had a game in Miami, and I was down there, and I had a friend of mine, Mike Moore, who's played for the Kitchener Rangers. He was down there with me. He came down to watch the game, the hockey game, and I had gotten tickets from the supervisor for the officials. I wish I could remember his name. He was a great guy. Anyways, he set us up with tickets. We ended up in the batter's box, right at field level, and it was the most remarkable thing I've ever experienced in all my sporting days. Being right there with the players, like he's in the batter box, and the thing that was really interesting about the game was that, when you played ball, you do a lot of chattering out there on the field. Let's go pitcher. It was they don't talk.
Yeah,
you don't hear any. They're all business. This is their job, I guess, and they don't say a whole lot, other than we were like close to the dugout, so you could kind of see into one dugout, and the manager every once in a while would step up and bark something at the umpire, and then that would be about all you'd hear from on the field from all the players, and that they don't do a lot of chattering.
Yeah,
this building was that was in at the time they were the Florida Marlins, so we're in Miami. There was 50,000 people in this place. And you couldn't believe the atmosphere that was in that building. It was remarkable, the feeling and all of in the game. And this game, Jared Wright was a rookie with Cleveland at the time when he was having a hell of a year pitching, and he threw a gem, 6 2/3 innings. He only had one run, and he was rolling. And then they brought in the relievers about 6 2/3. He's up 2-0. And they came back to win that game. And I remember to this day seeing the ball that Tony Fernando's missed on that play, and it went underneath his glove into the field, and it ended up not sure what made that score at the time, but they went on to win that in the overtime or the extra innings in the 11th inning on that play, him missing that ball to put the guy on first and third, and they brought him in to win the game in the extra innings in the 11th inning. That place erupted. It was unbelievable. The whole stadium went nuts, and it was we kind of got shuffled down and through and kind of waited a little bit and then got out of our chairs and went down. But I never seen anything like it. It was crazy in there. It was absolutely, they were singing "There's a Beautiful Life," and it was just something you never, those kind of moments you never forget. Yeah. Then I got to walk right through the dugout for Cleveland, and the supervisors taking us through the dugout. And Tony Fernandez was sitting there looking at his glove, like, what happened here? Like, you could just see him just bewildered, like, how he never missed a ball like that since he played ball in probably Pee Wee or whatever, right? He can't believe he missed that ball. So we walked past him, and then we went into the umpires room. The interesting thing with the umpires, like I was saying about how they're kind of full of themselves a little bit. I'll tell you, those guys in that room were like other than Joe West, who was a great guy, the other three, I wouldn't go for a beer with those three guys. They were just pompous.
Is that
like
right?
The umpire behind the plate that worked that guy, I can't remember what his name was. He wouldn't even talk to us, so that was good. Anyways, so we just would have met them for a while, and then Joe West took us to the little after party there. But yeah, that game was a remarkable game to watch and be a part of or be at, and I don't know, but they became the Miami after that. They were Florida Marlins.
Yeah, back then they were Florida, and now they're Miami.
Now they're Miami. Then they became Miami, but there was some great ball in that game. And I think that Florida came. They had to come from. Like they didn't have a good start to the first part of the season that year. They weren't supposed to really get. They were like an expansion team for like the fourth year of the expansion or something like that.
Yeah, they had. Florida had only come in MLB in 1993, so they were only in their, I think the fifth season, and
fourth or fifth, yeah.
And there they are winning a World Series in their fifth season, which is pretty remarkable. And they were also, and you talk about their slow start that year, they were also the first wild card team to ever win a World Series. So, the odds were really stacked against them. I remember that whole postseason, and all of a sudden there they are winning the World Series over the Indians in Game 7, and it was pretty remarkable. And then they pretty much disbanded that team because it was so good and they couldn't afford to pay them. And 6 years later, they put together another great team and won the World Series again in 2003. And then they disbanded that team pretty much right away as well.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Leland was the coach for them that year, yeah. I believe, and it was Nagy was the one that got the loss for that game against for Cleveland, but. That Jared Wright, he pitched a gem for 6 2/3 innings. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
it was kind of tough to watch him lose that, lose it on the last 2.5 innings. But that was one of my great sporting memories. That we were talking about sporting memories. That was other than being involved in it and being on the ice with it, but from a fan's perspective, that was remarkable.
Yeah. It's pretty special to be right down close like that, isn't it, Lance? To see the action right up and see the pitcher and the catcher and how that ball comes in there. It's pretty neat to be down there if you can get that close.
You could reach out and touch the guys in the batter's box. Yeah. And it was funny because I was just amazed at how business-like it was on the field. Like there was no chatter, nothing. It was just, when you used to play ball, you'd be, hey, come on, pitcher, come on, or something like that, right? Yeah. Didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Did you chirp anybody in the batter's box or anything?
No. Are you kidding me?
Oh, you're pretty quiet.
No, yeah. I'm not like the umpires would have chirped the guy, but I wasn't chirping anybody. No,
yeah,
I was pretty respectful. I was just like, it was like a kid in a candy store. Me and Mike Moore sitting there like this, going, "Wow, look at this."
Yeah. See, I didn't know you were friends with Mike Moore, Lance. I don't think you were around Kitchener by this time, but when he played for the Rangers, I'm going to say 1980, 81, in those years, I mean, he was a crazy dude. Like he would challenge entire benches to come out and fight him, and he wasn't that big a guy. Like he kind of reminded me of Joey Koster then a few years later. He was.
I think Eddie coached a little tougher, but not much. Pound for pound, I don't think Mike Moore. Nobody could stand up to him pound for pound of a tougher guy than him. But yeah, he was fun to hang around because he's a real sports guy too, eh? And he was pretty interesting. Even himself was kind of, and he was kind of, this is awesome to see this. Like he was. Yeah, I've known Mike a long time.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know you had that connection with him. Have either one of you been to a World Series game since? Probably not, because the Jays have never been in one since, and
we couldn't afford one now. So I get free tickets to that one.
Yeah. Now you're right though about those MLB players being very quiet. Because I grew up playing ball, and as little kids, it's always, hey, batter, 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 hey, batter, swing, batter, and then the MLB guys are just, they're just pretty much silent out there.
The thing about it though is you could feel the intensity in the field though. You could feel it just sitting there. You could feel the energy that they were like, in that game. Like it wasn't like they're all relaxed or anything like that. Like you could feel the I don't know what you would call it, the energy that was on that field with the players and their intensity on the field was there.
Yeah.
You could just feel that, just sitting that close to the field.
Well, but a Game 7 in a World Series too. There's just so much, pressure and emotion. You could almost cut the tension with a knife in a game like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of focus though. They're focused. That's for sure.
Yeah. Very good. Wow, that's a great memory. That's terrific to know that you were sitting right there. I'll have to go back and see if I can find some highlights of that game and see if we can see you on any of the shots on any of the highlights.
I don't think so, but you can try to do that, Randy. Yeah, if you do find it, let's bring it on.
Hey, I got nothing better to do. Let's move on to something else here. It's been a real busy time here. Obviously, March Madness for men's and women's basketball, and it's I don't know. For me, it's one of the best times of the year. I love this time of year with baseball season starting, hockey playoffs starting, and March Madness. And boy, it's just been another great tournament on both the men's and the women's side, and the men are down to their final four, and shockingly, Alabama's in there. Gary, I know you hate me talking about Alabama, but wow, they're in the final four, and Purdue and UConn are also there as number one seeds, and UConn's just rolling over everybody and looks pretty much unbeatable right now. But then the women's too into their final four now. And Gary, I know you were you mentioned earlier in the show here you were watching the women's games last night to get there, and boy oh boy, like Iowa top seed is there, South Carolina is looking really good, and that's been a terrific tournament as well.
Yeah, it's certainly well named, isn't it? March Madness. It really is exciting stuff. When it starts every year, I'm not because I'm not I don't have a team. I don't have a team that I watch. I don't watch the U.S. college stuff that closely until this tournament gets going. And the first round they get rid of 32 teams, and as it gets down, it gets to the Sweet 16 and then the Elite Eight. My interest gets more and more. I'm certainly aware of who the good teams are and where some of the big players are. But when we get to this point now, we're down to the Final Four. There's a couple of great stories, both on the men's side and the women's side. Certainly Purdue, Zach Edey, the Canadian kid from Toronto, 7'4", and he's been dominant. He's been the scoring leader in the U.S. the last two seasons. Probably going to be the top player in NCAA basketball again this year. He's the first player since Oscar Robertson in 1960 to be that scoring champ 2 consecutive years and go to the Final Four. He's a beauty. He came on and was interviewed there the other day after the game, and he looks pretty quiet and reserved on the floor, but he certainly wasn't in the interview, and he took some shots at some people, the opposing coach and the people that have passed him by, that ignored him, as he was coming up, didn't recruit him. He's got a big chip on his shoulder, and he plays tough, and so they've got a game coming up against North Carolina State. It's going to be a beauty. Your Bama is they're in pretty tough. They're in against UConn. UConn the other day, I don't know where I've ever heard of this before. They went on a run in the second half. They outscored their opponent 30-0.
Yeah.
They play unbelievable defense. They just have so many athletes on that team. And then over to the other side, and boy, oh boy, do I love watching the women. I watched those 2 games last night. I didn't care about the Leafs. I didn't care about the Blue Jays. Never flicked over either one of those games. I was so into those games last night. Caitlin Clark is one of the best athletes you're ever going to see. I don't care what sport. She's incredible. And she's not just a 3-point shooter, even though she can make them from the logo. She distributes the ball. She's just an unbelievable athlete. And so they got the win yesterday. The other team, the other great story, I think, is UConn. UConn, they had 5 players injured early in the season. Right now, they play with 8 kids. 5 people play. They got 3 kids on the bench, and those 3 kids on the bench, they hardly get on the floor. Most of their kids are playing 40 minutes. They've got a girl named Paige Beckers, who probably next to Caitlin Clark is one of the best kids you're going to see as well. And their coach, he's been there since 1985, Gino Oriyama. I don't know if I've said that correctly, but he's won 11 national championships since he got there, and he's been to the Final Four 23 times. Yeah. So it's an unbelievable program. They're going to match up against Iowa on Friday night at 9:30. I don't care what else is on again. I'll be watching that one. It's just great stuff. It's so entertaining. I've been so excited to see it, and I can't wait for the Final Four and on both sides, men and women.
I saw that game last night. That was a really good game. It was till they kind of, till Iowa kind of took it away towards the end of that game. But that you're right. That Caitlin Clark, she is a remarkable athlete. She had 9 free throws. She had 9. She tied the record. You know what had the record the record she tied was Nurse, the girl from Canada here, tied her record.
Yeah.
And that's remarkable. The play up and down, back and forth, like Angel Reese, she fouled out towards the end, but she played pretty good, pretty strong in that game too, but was not the match for the Iowa team at all. And there was some really good. The thing that I was interesting to see though, from my watching the game and not having a real great knowledge of female basketball, I mean the remarkable athletic, but I think I don't know if it's confidence or what it is, but Clark was the only one really throwing threes. There was very few out there that could throw the 3 ball. On the other ladies, it was kind of, they tried a few, they threw a few, but she was the only one that was smoking them. Like I said, she made 9, but there wasn't a whole lot of other 3 balls from the other girls. And I don't know if that was just the confidence or how strong a game it was from both sides. But other than that, they play hard. They go physical. It's a pretty physical game in that down low under the basket. So I really enjoyed watching that. It was a great game.
When you've got Caitlin Clark, you're not going to be in a hurry to jack up a three. You're going to try and get her the ball as much as you possibly can. And she does have the ball a lot. But the matchup, UConn and Iowa now. UConn, as I said, they only have 8 players, but UConn's 5, I think, are stronger than Iowa's 5. I think they have more athletes. They've got that Canadian kid in the middle, Edwards. But it's going to be interesting to see. And Iowa has the best player. Will Caitlin Clark be able to offset? And she may have to. She's put up 40 the last 2 games.
Yeah.
She may have to put up 50. And she probably is capable of doing that. And that's why this is going to be such a great matchup, this semifinal game on Friday.
Yeah. Lance, I'd never known you were a big basketball guy, but I remember one year at the Morty's pool there, you were leading the entire pool after the first weekend. So I don't know how you made those picks that year.
I have a secret system.
Yeah, but you were right on target, and you were winning the bracket after the first 32 games, and I had a whole newfound respect for you and your ability to pick basketball winners.
Yeah, I have deep knowledge of certain states.
Yeah, that's cool. Listen, one more other thing we just wanted to mention before we go here, and it's been a few days here, but Rachel Homan, coming off her second ever world championship, she won the women's worlds in Sydney, Nova Scotia there. And Gary, I know you watched that, and you're a Homan fan, but boy, she just had an unbelievable season. I think her record was 62 wins and 6 losses or something like that. And she was just amazing this year.
Yeah, amazing team. Really amazing team. Tracy Fleury, Emma Miskew, and Sarah Wilkes. They were tremendous to watch. The shot that Rachel made that pretty much sewed it up in the final was a split she made on a rock out in front of the house, and the 2 rocks counted, and she ended up scoring 3 on the end, and it was a tremendous curling shot. That their skill level is incredible. A neat story there, of course, is Sarah Wilkes, their lead Laurier graduate. And I just spoke to her. That they came back on Sunday. I spoke to her on Monday. She was good enough to get back to me, and I'm gonna feature her this week on Facebook. So she's a great kid, and really happy for the Homan team.
I seen some of that of the Scotties there, and I seen the game that Jennifer Jones played against, and Homan knocked her out on that in the Scotties, and that game was a pretty good game. That was right down to the wire, last shot. Homan made a tremendous shot to win it in that Scotties against Jennifer Jones, but it was remarkable to see the ending for her career. She's going to go on to doubles now with her husband. But this young Homan, she's going to be a force for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's got some, real great experience now, obviously. And I think she turns 35 this week. I thought I heard somewhere that she's celebrating her 35th birthday this week. So in the curling world, that's really not that old, although she's now, she's got a family, and who knows if, she'll be able to commit herself to curling as much as she has been now that she's got a family. But she just fantastic. And credit too, that Swiss skip that she beat in the final, that girl, I can't remember her name, had won 4 straight world championships going into that final against Homan, looking for her 5th straight, and Homan knocked her off, and that's a pretty impressive rink out of Switzerland as well.
Well, what is this? This is the third one that Homan's won?
Second.
Right. That's her second night. Okay.
Yeah, her second, but her first since I think 2017. So 7-year gap in there.
Wow.
And and good for her. She appears to be at the top of her game right now, basically at the age of 35. And it could be some great things, more great things to come for her.
Well, their preparation is amazing. The time that they have to put in to prepare for this, and as you said, Randy, with young families, Sarah has a 10-month-old baby daughter.
Yeah.
They have to get together. They have to practice. They go out west before the season starts, and they spend time out there in a training camp, and then traveling right across Canada. It's quite a grueling schedule. As Sarah said to me, if it wasn't for her parents and her in-laws, it would be impossible. With the family and the support they get from them. But it's remarkable, really, that they're able to do what they do.
Well, congratulations to them, and I'll look forward to seeing that thing on Sarah Wilkes that you're doing, Gary. That'll be fun.
Let's just want to make a big mention for Brad Gushu. He's in third or fourth spot right now in the Worlds. For the World Championship curling, and he just lost his one game the other day to yesterday to Italy. So, but I think he'll have a shot at getting into those finals. I hope he gets into the top 6. They have to get into the top 6 to go forward.
Yeah. Well, there's no question that Canada, is so strong in curling, and whoever represents us at those Worlds, they're going to be right there. We're so strong in that sport, coast to coast.
Yep.
We're it for time here, guys. As always, please remember to like, follow, and comment. We appreciate everything that we hear from people who are watching, and really appreciate comments. And you can always contact us at whaddyaknowaboutsports@gmail.com. Any closing thoughts, guys, as we head into the second week of the baseball season, and we're getting close to NHL playoffs as well here?
Well, there'll be some great playoff races coming up, I think, and some going forward for the next few weeks to see who gets into the playoffs. And I think you got to water that tree, Randy, and it's fun being in your bedroom.
Well, if I had a nickel for every time I'd heard that.
You've never heard that. Trust me.
All right. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you next week.